안녕 여러분, 잘 지내요? 오늘은 한국어 공부해요. 시작. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed that little bit of Korean that I know. It doesn't get much better than that. Today I want to give you guys 15 phrases that will help you guys when you come to Korea. Now these are just like really basic phrases. There's probably a lot that would be beneficial to you guys whenever you guys come here, but I went ahead and picked some of the most I think, in my opinion, crucial ones, the ones that have let me survive here for 2 years, even though I still don't know the Korean language fully. These are the basic words that I think that even if you don't even study the language, these words will get you by just fine. Mostly because Korean does have a lot of English. A lot of people do know English. So there's a lot of words that you can kind of keep out, like left and right or up and down. Those are, you can see those written in English pretty often. So let's go ahead and get started and learn some Korean today. To start off, we have the basic three. 안녕하세요, 감사합니다, and 죄송합니다 or 실례합니다. Let's start with number one. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요 is just the normal kind of greeting of hello. You can shorten it to 안녕, which I said earlier, and this is typically used with friends. You wouldn't say this to someone who's older than you or of the same level as you, who's not close friends with. Or you can always go with 안녕하십니까, which 안녕하십니까 has a question mark at the end. It's kind of like hello, but also this is used mostly for people who are older than you. You're not going to use this one too often, but when you do encounter someone who is higher level than you or older than you, then that one would be more preferred. But 안녕하세요 is probably the basic one. Now, why do I mention this? I want to mention for some of the words today that there are just like kind of higher levels to them. I'm not going to go over the specifics of all of them just because I just want to give you the basic phrases, and for the basic phrases, we're not going to go over formal or informal too often. So the next one, 감사합니다. 감사합니다 is thank you. Also one of the most basic ones that you're going to be using. You can use 고마워 or 감사합니다 as the basic ones. 고마워, again, informal. And then 고맙습니다 is the kind of more formal one. Again, this just means thank you. 감사합니다 is one that you're going to be using very often. Korea, it's all about manners here, which I'll mention another word that you'll be using fairly often that is tied to that as well. Next, we have 죄송합니다. 죄송합니다 is the kind of like sorry, is more formal sorry. You can also say 미안합니다. Both of these are formal meanings of saying sorry. I usually say 죄송합니다 if I'm going to say sorry. I don't really use 미안합니다 too often. You can also say 미안해요. 미안해 or 미안해요, or both sorry. Now 실례합니다 is for excuse me. Now you're going to be using this phrase mostly like in situations where maybe you're trying to squeeze past someone on the street or in the bus, or you need to just kind of try and go somewhere very quickly and someone's in your way. 실례합니다 is just kind of your way, like, hey, excuse me, you know, I'm trying to get through. And then there's 저기요. 저기요 is also excuse me, but it also means hello in the same time. What do I mean by that? Well, 저기요 is kind of a way of getting someone's attention, like, hello, excuse me, I'm, you know, looking for attention. 저기요. Also, when you go to restaurants, typically when you go to restaurants, you're going to be like, 저기요, 저기요, like getting someone's attention. You're kind of shouting, 저기요, like, excuse me. If you want to get someone to come over and serve you is another way. I know that in America, for example, usually we just like wait for the waiter to come by the table, or we kind of give them the eye contact, like, hey, you know, I'm ready. But here you just kind of shout, 저기요, like you're just like, hey, it's not rude here. It's just kind of the normal of what people do. Now, 주세요. 주세요, I'm going to go over with other phrases, but 주세요 means please. 주세요 is attached to almost every sentence. 주세요 is something that you're going to be saying very often, and this is something that I really want you guys to remember. Whenever you're asking for something or almost like talking about something, add 주세요. For example, 물 주세요, like please, can I have water? 물 is water, and then 주세요 is please, or can I please? So you always want to add 주세요. You don't want to just say 물. That is very rude. Even when you're going to the coffee shop, cafe latte 주세요. You always want to add 주세요 at the end of your sentence. Kind of make it something you want to just make it something that you want to just instinctively, it comes out naturally. Like you don't even think about it. Let's move on to number 5. Probably one of the most important ones for you guys. 화장실 어디에요? This is quite literally asking where is the bathroom. Very important for anyone coming to any country to know how to ask where the bathroom is. Now, most of the time you can probably figure it out where it is. If you're going to a cafe, it's pretty, obvious. But if you're not sure where it is, 화장실 어디에요 is what you're going to be saying. Now, the only problem I would say with this is that they're usually going to respond in Korean, so they might say left, up, down, right, because sometimes some of the bathrooms in Korea are not inside the restaurant or cafe you're in. Sometimes they're in a building, so you have to leave the cafe, go outside, and then go back inside to another area for the public bathroom. So maybe this is still a very useful question, but just be prepared. Sometimes they might give you a response that you might not understand. All I can really help you with is 왼쪽, 오른쪽, so left, right. But yeah, just try and keep in mind, maybe ask them maybe in English again, like where's the bathroom, if they say something that you don't understand. Otherwise, 화장실 어디에요 is probably your best bet. All right, moving on to number 6. 영수증. 영수증 is receipt. Something you might want to know is 영수증주세요 or 영수증버려주세요. 영수증주세요 is please give me the receipt. 영수증버려주세요 is please throw away the receipt. Now, some of you might not think that's useful. I personally think that this is one of the most useful phrases. Because honestly, there's a lot of times where you're paying. Also, card is very friendly here in Korea, so you don't really have to pay with cash too much. But there's many times they're going to give you the receipt, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to be stuck with 50 million receipts because I don't know enough Korean to tell them how to throw it away. Before I knew this phrase, it was just a lot of awkward conversation of me trying to tell them please throw away or trash or something like that, and they're looking at me like they don't understand. So I just take the receipt and move on because it's better than just trying to stand there and figure out how to tell them I don't want the receipt. So I would be stuck with 50, 60 different receipts that I have to throw away myself. So that wasn't very fun. But on the other side, if you're someone who wants to keep the receipt for whatever reasons, tax, just keeping a track of how much you paid, then 주세요, right? If they're not going to give you the receipt normally, then you just, hey, can I get the receipt? 영수증주세요. Because there are some places like the convenience stores, they don't just automatically give you the receipt. Most restaurants and cafes will usually give you the receipt. So that is, I think, very useful for you guys. All right, let's move on to number 7. Number 7 is 주문할게요. 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 This is only used for restaurants. So I gave you 저기요 earlier. That's also completely fine. But if you want it to be, I guess, a little more polite, then you would do 주문할게요. So this is like when you're ready to order for the first time, you just say 주문할게요 and they'll come over and take your order. But you're not going to be shouting 주문할게요 every single time you need something from the waiter or waitress. It's only the very first time that you're ordering something. After that, it's better to say 저기요. If you want a refill on something or you need to get the bill or whatever it is that you need, 저기요 is the best thing afterwards. It's only the first time. And this is only used in restaurants. Or I guess if you go to a certain cafe where they serve you. Wherever you go that someone is serving you food or something, 주문할게요 is what you want to use. Moving on to number 8, I think this is very important for a lot of people. A lot of people have different allergies or something they can't eat or don't eat. So if you take whatever food you can't eat, for example, a popular one that many people have allergies to, I have allergies, is fish. So 해물 알레르기 있어요. 해물 알레르기 있어요. So you want to say that you have an allergy, so you're letting the waiter know that you have this allergy and you can't eat it. You can say total, like if you have this allergy, 빼주세요. So that means to take out. So you would say 해물 알레르기 있어요. 빼주세요 means to please take out, or like don't use, basically. So this is very important. Again, I know there's a lot of people who have different diets and stuff like that. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. You can also say something food like 해물, again, 해물 못 먹어요. So you're going to use 못 먹어요 for something you can't eat, like you just can't eat it. So again, you have two different phrases here. You have 알레르기 있어요, 빼주세요, or 못 먹어요. I have this allergy, or please throw away, and I can't eat this. So there you go. I think this is very important for a lot of people because a lot of people have different diets that they need to have met. So there you go. Moving on. This is just a very common, very simple thing that might be very basic, but I still think important. Yes and no. You have many different ways to say yes. There's 네, 예, many different ways. I usually just say 예 or 네. I kind of alternate between those two. There's not really a difference. And then there's no, 아니에요, 아니, 아니야, 아닙니다, 아닙니다. Those are different kind of levels of formal. 아니에요 is the most common. 아니 or 아니야 is kind of less formal, which is friends. And 아닙니다 is more formal. But these are still, again, very common things that maybe you guys might already know if you're planning on coming here. But I think these are just very, very simple things that maybe some people don't know, and it would be very, very helpful for any situation. Moving on. Korea has a lot of spicy food. A lot of the food they have is heavily influenced with gochujang or gochugaru, which I've showed in some of my cooking videos. So if you can't eat spicy, something that you might want to know is 이거 매워요? Is this spicy? 매워요 or 매워 is spicy. 이거 is this. So is this spicy? Maybe something you might want to know if you're someone who can't handle spice or anything spicy. So I highly recommend making this something that is part of your vocabulary. That way you can ask them. Usually they can offer you like lower levels, or maybe there are plenty of restaurants that don't sell or make spicy foods, but if you think it might be spicy for you, then I recommend asking them this before you get it. Usually when you go to a restaurant, they might ask you 몇 명이에요? 몇 명이에요? They're just asking you how many people are in your party or how many people are with you. 명 is people. 명 is people. If you're alone or with two people, I can help you a little bit. 하나 or 한 is for one and 두 is for two. So if you go to a restaurant and you're alone, if you're traveling, just 한 명, 한 명. You just need to say 한 명이에요 or 한 명, and they'll understand. You can also point one finger like this and they'll also understand. But again, just in case you go to restaurants, they might ask you this question, and I wanted to give you that just so that way you understand when you first come in. That's usually what they'll ask you. Not always, but in most situations they will. All right, another one. If you're traveling, you might not have a cellular data plan here, so you're probably going to be hooked up to the Wi-Fi. That's great. Wi-Fi in Korea is everywhere. Honestly, no matter where you go in Korea, you will be able to access Wi-Fi, a lot of times for free without any kind of password or anything like that. But there might be some situations where you don't know what the Wi-Fi password is. You don't know if they have Wi-Fi because they don't have it posted, but it's better to ask, right? So, two things you can ask here. 와이파이 있어요 means, is there Wi-Fi here? Don't really need to ask it too much because most places have Wi-Fi, but it's better to ask anyways, in my opinion. You can also follow up with the question, 비밀번호 뭐예요? 비밀번호 뭐예요? This means you're asking for the password. You're asking for the Wi-Fi password. So you can ask if they have Wi-Fi and then follow up with what is the password. Usually the password will be on the receipt they give you, so don't throw away the receipt if they give you a receipt. Or they'll have it posted somewhere on a little board, somewhere for you to read, or they'll just tell you. If they tell you, then maybe you can ask them to write it down for you if you don't understand what they're saying. Usually it's a combination of numbers. They don't usually use letters or anything like that. But I wanted to give you guys this because this would be probably one of the most common things you might want to look out for if you're traveling here and not planning to stay here. If you're planning to stay here, I assume you guys will probably get a cellular data plan. But even so, you guys still might want to learn this phrase so you don't run up your minutes. Moving on, we have our next phrase, 내려주세요. 내려주세요. Now this one is debatable whether it's really needed or not. It's very, very important when you're on a bus though. Well, it's actually, you could pretty much only for a bus. Basically, when you get on the bus, sometimes you might be on a bus that is super crowded and it's hard to get off, and maybe the bus driver doesn't know you need to get off. You want to say 내려주세요 because sometimes they might just end up keep going without noticing that you're one of the people that needs to get off at the bus stop. So you can shout, 내려주세요, I need to get off, I need to get off, this is my stop. I haven't needed to use this phrase too many times. It hasn't been too much of a problem. I think I needed to use it maybe twice, 3 times in my time being here. But I still feel the need to tell you guys just in case you want to say, oh, hey, I need to get off, or you weren't able to push the button in time or something. 내려주세요, and then they'll understand you can get off. When you guys are coming to Korea for the first time and you guys want to travel using the bus, the subway, any kind of the public transportation, one of the things that you guys are going to need is a T-Money card. It just says T-Money. The name of the card is T-Money card. You could also opt for the ticket, where you just buy a little stub, and I believe it's a one-way deal that you pay and then you pay when you get off. But the ticket stubs, I think they do not work for the buses. It's only for the subway. For the buses, you will have to use cash if you don't have this T-Money card. It is way more convenient for you guys to just buy a T-Money card and load some money on the card. That way, all you need to do is tap and go. Where can you buy these? You can buy them at any convenience store, anywhere. You just ask for T-Money or T-Money 있어요. And I mean, every place will have it, and they'll show you a wall of T-Money cards, and you just choose the card. What I want to give you is 충전해주세요. 충전해주세요. What does this mean? Well, if you're using the T-Money card, eventually you're going to need to recharge the card. 충전해주세요 is for please recharge the card. So when you walk into a convenience store, you will ask this phrase, 충전해주세요. Show them the T-Money card, and then they'll go ahead and refill it for you. Now, obviously, you need to pay money to refill the card, and usually this is done by cash. I haven't done it in a very long time because when you live in Korea, you can attach to your debit card a kind of automatic payment system when you use the public transportation, and they deduct it at the end of the month. So I don't use T-Money anymore. But when you first come here, it is kind of one of the basic things that you want to get. And I believe in order to refill it, you need to pay cash. I don't think you can pay card to refill the card. Maybe that's changed, but I believe that it's still better to have cash. I always just put in 10,000 won or man won. So again, the cashier is going to ask how much you want to put on there. You just give them the money, and then that'll be very nice and simple for you guys, because they will ask how much you want to charge. All you need to do is give them the cash, like how much you want to put on there, 10,000, 5,000, 20,000, whatever, they'll automatically put on there, and the process is done. All right, moving on. This phrase might seem a little counterintuitive to what I'm teaching you guys today, but you can say this phrase if someone's speaking to you in Korean, and you use some of the Korean I gave you today and you really don't understand what they're saying. You can simply say 한국어 못해요. If you say this, it basically says I don't speak Korean, I can't speak Korean well. That will let the person know that you don't actually know how to speak a language, you're just speaking some basics. Again, I'm giving you a lot of the basics, so maybe some people might think that you do know how to speak Korean. That happens many times where I'll say a few things and then suddenly someone thinks, oh wow, this guy, he speaks a lot of Korean, and then blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, calm down, I only know a few phrases. Usually I want to speak as much Korean as I can because I'm in Korea, I should speak Korean as much as possible. So knowing these basics is kind of a polite and mannerism kind of thing. Instead of just forcing English as much all the time. Yeah, I could say please, thank you. But just the little things really help when you come here. It's just those little things. Even if you don't know the language, these basics are just enough for people to be like, okay, he's trying, he's learning, he's trying to adapt to his time here. Again, you'll come across situations where people will fully think that you know Korean. You can bust out this phrase, hey, I don't actually know Korean. I'm just trying to, show you that I want to learn. Maybe try and say in English if you can, or let's try and figure out a different way to communicate. Okay, so that comes down to our last one for today, number 15. This is place 어떻게 가요? Place being whatever place you're trying to get to, Lotte Tower, Namsan Tower, Hangang Park. So you can say something like Lotte Tower에 어떻게 가요? 어떻게 가요? Basically, it means how do I get there? Now, in today's age, where everybody has, smartphones and the technology to look something up on the map, so maybe this phrase won't be as useful. However, if again you come here and you don't have cellular data, you don't have Naver Maps downloaded because Google Maps does not work here, or you don't have Kakao Maps or whatever kind of map you need to use, this phrase will be very useful. If you need to talk to someone real quick, hey, I need to get to Lotte Tower. How do you get there? Lotte Tower에 어떻게 가요? So this phrase will be a little useful. If you know the general area, most people won't know exactly how to get there. They'll mostly just look it up on their phone and show you. Or if they are well-versed, then they'll tell you how to get there. Again, this phrase could be helpful, could not be helpful, mostly just because once you ask the question, maybe they're going to speak to you in Korean and how to get there. So then you can bust the last phrase you learned, 한국어 못해요, and then maybe they can just show you on map or something, or use a translation app to help you out. But I believe this was still useful. That's why I had it down on 15 as something that maybe you might need to use. An honorable mention, I guess, for a word that maybe you might want to know is 얼마예요. 얼마예요 is how much, or how much is it? Again, the reason I didn't list it as an important phrase to learn is most prices are listed. It really, you can see the price, so there's not really too much of a need to ask how much is it, but maybe you bought 3 or 4 or 5 different things, you didn't calculate in your head how much it's going to be, so you can ask them 얼마예요. They'll tell you, of course in Korean, or they'll show you on the computer screen or whatever how much the price is. Some shops even have like a little calculator and they'll just show you the number on the calculator or their phone. But yeah, that phrase is just honorable mention for something that maybe you might want to know. Those were 15 basic phrases. I hope these phrases help you guys when you come to Korea, or if you're just traveling. These phrases are very, just for me, they've been the most life-saving phrases that I've learned. These have helped me get by for 1 year, 2 years of being here without actually fully studying the language. Most words that I've picked up, some that people have told me. Again, Korea has a lot of people, especially in Seoul, that know English, or a lot of things are written in English for you. So I hope you guys found this very useful. Please let me know if there's any words that you guys might think could help you out in the future if you guys plan on coming here. As always, thank you guys for watching, liking, subscribing, and all of that. It really helps me a lot. Next week, we got a really, really special video. I've been inside for the last 2 times because I've been getting ready and preparing for this next video that we have coming up pretty soon. So I hope you guys are very excited about it. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But again, I wanted to give you guys this information just for anyone who's been watching, planning on coming. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys next time for another amazing video. Please stay tuned for that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, see you guys next time.